Greetings, this is M squared, and we're going to talk some more about exponent rules. This rule we're talking about today is the negative rule. So if you have a variable or a number raised to a negative exponent, what it's telling you is that it's in the wrong place. If it's in the numerator, you need to change it to the denominator. If it's in the denominator, it needs to change to the numerator, and then it becomes positive. What's really important to notice is that the n stayed the same, the x stayed the same. When I moved it, the only thing that went away was the negative. Same thing here. Sometimes kids get a little confused with that, so be careful. The exponent always stays the same. A negative exponent never, ever, ever makes anything negative. It simply switches positions. It never makes a number negative. This 5 is positive. It will never turn into a negative because of that negative exponent. So we have 5 to the negative 2. Well, that means I have to move it from the numerator, because right now it's in the top, to the bottom. The 5 stays the same, the 2 stays the same, the negative goes away. And since I moved it down there, I need a placeholder up here so you know it's a fraction and you know it went down. Over here, same thing. I need a 1 as my placeholder, and then the x cubed, when it moves down, the negative goes away. So now I have 1 over x cubed. In this example here, you'll notice that only the y is raised to the negative power. So the 2, I don't need a placeholder here because the 2 stays up in the numerator because there was no negative exponent on that to tell me to move it. Y to the negative 4, the y and the 4 stay in the same positions. The negative simply moves as I move it down. Now in this fourth example, notice that there's parentheses and the whole thing is raised to the negative 2 power. Okay, so we need a placeholder then if the whole thing's going down. And now I have 3x squared squared. And hopefully you've learned your power rule already. If you haven't, it's just squared always means times itself. So this is 3x squared times 3x squared. But our power rule tells us to multiply the exponent. So since there's a 1 there, I know that would be 1 times 2. So 3 squared, which is 9. And x squared squared, I multiply 2 times 2, and I get x to the 4th. So my answer here is 1 over 9x to the 4th. Now this one you'll notice there's a fraction, and everything is raised to the negative power. So sometimes what I do first is I know that the negative means that these two have to go to the bottom, this one has to go to the top. So I just usually flip it first. So I use the reciprocal, and then my negative's gone. So now I just have a 3 there because I changed positions on both things. And now I just use my power rule. 5 cubed is 125. 2 cubed is 8. X cubed is x cubed. There's my answer in that one. Sometimes you have an expression you think, well, I can't do anything, but the directions might say you have to write it so that there's only positive exponents. So you look for the negative one. This is the only one that's negative. So it's the only one that moves. Everything else stays in the numerator. 7x squared, z to the 4th. No negative exponents there. Everything stayed. This moves down, and when it moves down, the negative is no longer with the exponent. It's just y cubed. And that is your negative rule. This is M squared, signing out.